And welcome back to the Hot Lap. Welcome to our Las Vegas Grand Prix review. We are talking the Las Vegas Grand Prix, of course. We're also talking Ferrari being the team to watch, according to Peter Windsor. Why? Well, one word, Singapore. Two words, Carlos Sainz. Another word, wins. Yes, they won the Singapore Grand Prix. And with the cold tyres in Singapore, Peter Windsor basically said they've got potentially a very good chance. And also, when you look at Monza with those long straights, there we go. A concoction of Ferrari success. Let's keep our fingers crossed, Ferrari fans. Also, talking about those cold temperatures, we've got tyre graining. Why? Well, if the tyres can't heat up enough, they're not going to grip enough and they're going to slide along the track, giving you that tyre graining in what could be cold temperatures. Also, can Albon star? Albon is bigging himself up. Well, modest, I guess, but he's bigging himself up and his car simply because that Williams is very good in a straight line and he believes it's good in those cold temperatures. And also, we've been looking at our track layout, so tune in to the main video. And big challenge for Merc, according to Toto Wolff. Mercedes, could they struggle? I mean, we've come out, he said that the Brazil stuff, they've understood why they were slow in Brazil, but cold temperatures could affect them maybe more than others. We'll have to see, won't we? But let's get into our Las Vegas Grand Prix preview. Let's have a look at our first story, and it is the Ferrari being the team to watch. This is from planetf1.com by Oliver Harden. And he says, F1 commentator Peter Windsor believes the low temperatures at the Vegas Grand Prix will prove a big problem for the teams and is backing Ferrari to have a good weekend. Fingers crossed. So Las Vegas is set to host its first F1 race since 1982. I mean, that's before, I imagine, half of the people here were born. I was 1 year old at the time. Oh, yeah, you guessed how old I am now. But with the cold conditions set to play a major role for the outcome of the race. Now, as we know, qualifying is starting at midnight and the race is scheduled for 10 p.m. on Saturday local time. The temperatures are likely to go down, plummet to single-digit figures. So Red Bull and Max Verstappen head into the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and I think everyone appreciates their favourites to win with that but, and here's the but, the RB19's occasional tyre warm-up weakness could open the door for another team. And speaking on his YouTube channel, the 1992 Williams team manager, Peter Windsor, he suspects that Sainz from Singapore, where Carlos Sainz was the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race for 2023, so far, he said, I think if the temperatures are down in the 5, 6, 7 degrees centigrade, it will be a big problem for everyone. A big problem. Pirelli are bringing the softest tyre they've got, which is good, I guess. But at the moment, around the time of practice and the race, it's about 12 to 15 degrees. But I think if it's that cold, it's going to be a big problem. I think Ferrari will be strong. I was talking to a couple of engineers and they all said Monza spec almost in terms of wings and downforce levels and a lot of straights. So on that basis, not just because Ferrari went well at Monza, but because, as we know, Ferrari are pretty good in a straight line. They're pretty good at high-speed braking. Pretty good functional race car, assuming they're reliable. Yeah, let's hope we don't have any, let's be honest, formation lap shenanigans a la Charles Leclerc at Brazil. But Peter Windsor is saying they should go quite well around Vegas, citing that they did a good job at Monza and Singapore with those long straights, with the emphasis on that high-speed braking. And if you've got that, then you've got quite a lot of the Singapore laps sorted. It could well be the same in Vegas. And once you've got in front on the pole or the front row, and you've got a good top speed advantage, in theory, you should be able to sustain that in terms of not being easy to pass. But DRS can enable a slower car to do something and maybe to manage its tyres. But then again, you actually see the tyres more if you're following a car than if in clear air. And Windsor outlined the challenges facing the teams in Vegas, pinpointing to those soft tyres, ride heights, high-speed braking, top speeds, track evolution will all come into play. So I know we've spoken about those soft tyres and the tyre graining. So let's talk about this temperature. This is from motorsport.com by Matt Q. So he says, thanks to a mid-November slot and the decision to hold the charge along the famous strip of Las Vegas, the air temperature will likely drop to well below 10 degrees. So the earliest and therefore most likely warmest run out is first practice. That kicks off at 8 o'clock local time. However, the lights won't go out for the Grand Prix until 10, a 2-hour limit will take it to midnight. F1 and Pirelli have dealt with similarly cool conditions before, and he cites the 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix at the Nürburgring in Germany. I think Lewis Hamilton won that, but he had to pass Valtteri Bottas. And there's been plenty of winter testing where beanie hats and thick team branded puffer coats were very much in vogue. He said what's different for Sin City, though, is that the 3.85 mile lap is dominated by long straights topped in smooth asphalt. Combine these with an absence of high-speed corners, and that means the winter air will have plenty of time to chill those tyres, whilst there's precious few areas for drivers to warm them up. Now, given the lack of exact historical comparisons, he says Pirelli is working with data from the FIA, F1 and teams in an effort to prevent tyre graining and shaking from becoming a distraction slideshow all weekend. Okay, I mean, it could be a case of whoever gets the tyres to work, and it might not be Red Bull, it could be Albon, as we said, could be the Ferrari team, are potentially in pound seats to win. Now, Pirelli Motorsport boss Mario Isola explains, we had in Barcelona some pre-season tests with similar temperatures, but Barcelona is a different circuit where you put more energy into the tyre. It's got way more fast turns when you think about it. Also, the asphalt, I remember, at that time was quite aggressive. It was before the last resurface, so in Las Vegas, I believe we're going to find it quite a unique situation compared to our historical data. And it says here where the tyres may come unstuck. So owing to long straights that, as we know, that are going to typify the lap if you've looked at it, the upside down pig, so to speak, there will be protracted periods where little energy is being exerted on the surface of the tyre. No braking zones, no lateral forces. This will allow the ambient conditions to lower the external temperature of the tyre. Now, previously in Baku, which is perhaps the closest comparison in terms of layout, tyres have cooled by over 30 degrees through the flat-out final. So, wow, 30 degrees. I mean, I would not have guessed that at all. And like in Azerbaijan, because the Pirellis will be rotating at speeds north of 200 miles per hour, the bulk temperature will be fair higher. With the tyres then not optimised for the corners, the cars will be prone to oversteer or understeer as the rubber drags across the surface, across the top of the abrasive, more car-biased asphalt, and it will grain to keep surface tears, as you can see in the picture, the tyre graining there, and rips on the agenda. The lack of temperature will also extend braking zones. He asks, are we able to keep temperature in the tyre? Says Isola. These factors could generate some graining. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting in relation to the tyres, but as we spoke about, those top speeds, the top speeds, those long straights and the cold, will they help Alex Albon? Well, he seems to think so. Albon says the stars could align for the Williams in a cold Las Vegas race. This is again on motorsport.com by Adam Cooper. Yeah, Alex Albon believes the stars should hopefully align for his Williams Formula One team in the cold conditions. Albon expects that the lower temperatures and long straights should play to both the strengths of the FW45. Now, qualifying commencing at midnight and the race starting at 10, as we know now, it's going to be really, really low temperatures. And for Vegas, the stars should hopefully align, says Albon, when asked about the race by motorsport.com. He says it's a track that should suit us in terms of its layout, but it should also suit us in terms of its temperature. So qualifying is going to be a big interest, I think, for everyone to get those tyres to work in that temperature. That really won't be easy, but that suits us more. He conceded, though, that one drawback could be that some corners could promote front locking, which has regretfully been a weakness for that Williams package. And he noted that the team simulator hasn't necessarily given a complete picture of what the actual track surface is like. No one is really going to know until they get there, Wednesday, Thursday. And really, even that, we're not going to know what effect it's going to have on the cars, on their setup, on the tyres they've chosen until that first practice session. He said it's quite a simple circuit in terms of its layout. It's quite easy to learn. The track is quite interesting. There's a few combined corners which are not easy for front locking, which is not great for our car, but that's fine. He says the one thing which will be interesting is the roughness and the bumps of the track. How well of a job have they done or not? And also, I think in terms of racing, there's going to be a lot of overtakes because at least from what I drove, there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of places you can overtake. So let's see, but it's okay. I actually didn't mind it. So fingers crossed if you're a Williams fan for Alex Albon glory. Well, imagine a podium. Imagine a Ferrari Williams podium. That would be epic, wouldn't it? Imagine just a non-Red Bull victory. I think would be epic for a lot. Oh dear me, for a lot of people. So let's quickly though get into the a few facts, obviously, about since we're talking about the about the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Give me 2 secs. Here we go. A few facts there. So we've got the number of laps is going to be 50. Number of corners, 17. 3 straights, 2 DRS zones, a length of 6.2 kilometres, a race distance of 310.05 kilometres, and a top speed of 212 miles per hour. But pray tell, when does this race start? Well, I've got it for you here. This is the start of the race according to UK time. So the opening ceremony, Thursday at 3:30. First practice is 4:30 a.m. on Friday. Second practice, again Friday morning at 8 a.m. Third practice, Saturday morning at 4:30, with qualifying starting on the Saturday at 8 and the race starting on Sunday at 6. European times give plus an hour. I'm not too sure what the local... regrettably though, I'm not too sure what the local times are, but there are essentially the times. But let's get into like looking at that track and looking at that track layout. So here we go. Give me a second. I've completely lost my place there. So technical problems. So the track layout. This is from GPfans.com. We've got a really good article here. It's time for a detailed look at the track, which is 6.2 kilometres, a 17-turn circuit. Las Vegas was held in 1982, as we know, the last Las Vegas race. The circuit is designed by Tilk Engineers and Architects, founded by Herman Tilke. I still think Herman's best circuit is the Malaysian Grand Prix. Bring that back, please. Also, Turkey's not too bad. Now, he's designed several F1 circuits, including the Red Bull Ring, which is pretty awesome as well, Circuit of the Americas and Marina Bay. However, his son is the mastermind behind the Las Vegas track design. It cost estimated between 500 million and is expected to generate 1 billion. Oh my God, that's amazing. 1 billion. The Las Vegas Strip, the circuit, it runs anti-clockwise, as we know, 17 corners. It has a 1.92 kilometre straight. It's over a mile. A mile's what, 1.6 kilometres. Making it one of the fastest tracks on the F1 calendar. The start-finish lines and turns 1 to 4 are situated in a former parking lot. Yes. There we go. Anyone that has nightmares of 1982 now. That F1 purchased for a whopping 240 million and transformed into state-of-the-art paddock area. Wow. As drivers exit, we've talked about, you can't quite see here, but we talked about the pit lane earlier, didn't we? Which is at the bottom of that photo. Now, as drivers exit the area and head down Koval Lane, they'll experience a 1 kilometre straight from turn 4. They reach a hard braking zone into Westchester Drive. Turn 6, 7 and 8 will take drivers down the newly opened MSG Sphere before accelerating down the sands. Here we go. Here's basically the whole track there. You've got the Sphere look at that. It's going to be absolutely amazing, particularly when you go down the strip. I can't really wait. I can't wait there. There's the track information as well. Now, while it's expected, it says, to be a breathtaking experience for drivers and spectators, the Las Vegas track construction has been a real buzzkill for locals who have watched in dismay. The beloved strip has been transformed into a construction zone. And this is going on. I think they've got the race contract for 10 years. You imagine being a local knowing this is going to be effective for 10 years. Yes, it does happen at Monaco, but it's been happening at Monaco for, let's be, decades and decades, and it's become the norm now. It says I'm going to get the name wrong. I'm so sorry. The Bellagio, it's got to be Bellagio maybe. Fountains, one of the most iconic sites in Las Vegas, although I don't know how to pronounce it, have been especially hard hit. The trees in front of the fountains have been cut down to make way for grandstands. That's not good, is it? But both the fountain and the Mirage Volcano shows will be closed during the F1 event, and to add insult to injury, the water has been drained to create a special platform for guests to watch the race. Pedestrian bridges, in Las Vegas have been equipped with barriers and films, although a lot of locals are peeling those films off. 3 pedestrian bridges have also been constructed. Many locals, it says, have expressed frustration over the traffic congestion brought about by the F1 race, believing that the entire event is a waste of money and are eagerly waiting for things to return to normal. I can kind of understand, really. But you basically have a long straight. It almost looks like a very Hockenheim-esque in a way, doesn't it? When you look at the actual the full layout. We're going to do a video probably on F1 2023 in relation to that, probably after practice, but before qualifying, to understand it. But I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that's the racetrack there. Now, last but not least is our story about Mercedes, again on gpfans.com, by Sam Cook. Wolff reveals a big challenge facing Mercedes at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Toto Wolff has admitted that the Vegas Grand Prix will be a big challenge. It says, wow, whiplash. The team experienced a miserable trip to Interlagos. As we know, they struggled to take home decent points. Hamilton basically only managed to finish the race in 8th, their worst race. George Russell didn't finish. I mean, that is one of their worst races since the turbo hybrid era, I think. Other than maybe Spain 2016 when they both went out. But it says their lack of performance was evident throughout the weekend. I mean, we had Tsunoda's AlphaTauri blasting past Hamilton in the sprint race, and that was hard to watch if you're a Mercedes fan. Now, heading into the Las Vegas Grand Prix, as we know, Mercedes have a 20-point lead over Ferrari. I mean, they were so lucky for them that Leclerc had that bad luck, or whatever you want to call it, and went off on the formation lap, because that 20 points could have been even smaller. And Wolff described the team's performance as the worst in 13 years, with the team boss acknowledging that they faced another hard weekend. After promising performances in the US and Mexico, we didn't perform our best in Brazil, he said. We have been hard at work to identify the wrong turn we took with setup. We've done that. We understand our mistakes and can explain our performance loss to the field, but that's important as we look to secure P2. He goes on to say, we'll be running at night where ambient and track temperatures will likely be in the single digits. It's something we've gone on about this whole show. And he said about the Las Vegas, the track layout itself is unusual, with many slow corners but long straights. It's going to be a big challenge for us, and we're looking forward to taking it on. It will also be an immense effort off track. Who's going to be fastest? Well, Red Bull favourites by default going in. Obviously, Ferrari are looking quite good. McLaren could look good, but McLaren in the slow corners, I said, not to be that great. But, to be fair, Lando Norris did really well at Brazil. And when you look at that middle part of the track, there's a lot of slow corners there. So I hope it's going to be, I'm hoping it's going to be one of the most open races of the year. Is it? I've no idea whether it is or not. But stay tuned. This is the hot lap. If you made it to the end, thank you very much. Like and subscribe if you want. That will be great. If you do both, you are a multiple F1 champion in our eyes. If you just do one, you're still an F1 champion. Thank you so much, Joe, for watching. And I guess I'll speak to you next time.